Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is lecture number 11. Today we will discuss about meanings and purpose of school discipline, factors affecting school discipline, and then we shall discuss solutions to solve indiscipline problems. First of all, we have to see that school disciplines has how many goals. Basically, there are two main roles. The first role of discipline is to save the staff and the students, because safety of the staff and student, that is very necessary. Then the second goal, that is to create such a conducive environment so that the students may learn in that environment in a better way. Serious students misconduct involving violent or criminal behavior defeats these goals and often makes headlines in the process. However, the commonest discipline problem involve non-criminal students' behavior. So most of the discipline problems, they involve the non-criminal students' behavior, because in daily routine the students may commit the different mistakes just because of their age, or you can say as per environment. So less dramatic problems may not threaten personal safety, but they still negatively affect the learning environment. We all know that in a daily routine life we may face different problems from the student sides or from the other, you can say, due to different factors, due to environments, you can say. Although all these things have negative effect, but even then in generally personal safety, that has no threat on. So disruptions interrupt lessons for all students, and disruptive students lose even more learning time. For example, Court Fredsons and others calculate that the 6 middle schools in Charleston, South Carolina students lost 7,932 instructional days, 44 years, 2 in school and out of school, suspension in a single academic year. So it is important to keep the ultimate goal in mind while working to improve school disciplines. One of the education researchers, named Daniel Duke, pointed out that the goal of good behavior, that is necessary, but not efficient to ensure academic growth. So effective school discipline strategies seeks to encourage responsible behavior and to provide all students with a satisfying school experience, as well as to discourage misconduct. Moreover, the word discipline is derived from the Latin roots disciples. Its meaning is a pupil or disciple. Naturally, the problem of discipline that was taken to consist in bringing the conduct of the pupils into conformity with the ideas and standards of the master. So the teacher personality was always regarded as a noble and beneficent, and the pupils had to develop the virtue of docility and plasticity so that the teacher might impress his personality on them and mold them in his own image. The modern conception of discipline, this is having a broad and inclusive one. It doesn't recognize the difference between mental and moral behavior for the purpose of control, not in fact for any other purpose. The much and commonly lamented separation in schools between intellectual and moral training, between the acquiring of information and growth of character, says Davy that this is simply an expression of the failure to conceive and conduct the school as a social institution, having social life and value within itself. So every experience, intellectual, moral, civic, physical, has a value from the point of view of a pupil's development as a member of society, and conversely, the pupil's social behavior have an effect on his personal development. So, in fact, the individual mind is conceived of as a function of social life, as not capable of operating by itself, but as requiring continuous stimulus from social agencies and finding its nutrition and social purpose. Moreover, we can say that there is some modern views of discipline is there, like as per Dewey, demands the same unity in the educative process and educative material as we find it in real life, which is social through and through. So the school must be social organism. It means that it should behave like a social institutions, in which the social situations should be provided to stimulate the students, and that they should direct the impulses of the pupils in the pursuit of common purposes through cooperative and shared activity. So the whole life of the pupils or students, you can say, in the schools, and regarding his intellectual, regarding his social, moral and physical activities, whatever the concerns are there, so they are carried out in cooperation with others and are directed toward the realization of certain purposes, that is disciplinary. So the essential purpose of school discipline, that is the development in what? In the pupil of attitudes, their habits, their ideals of conduct through the medium of social life of the schools, organized on a cooperative basis and inspired by the higher ethical teachings of religion. So the purpose of discipline, that is to help an individual for acquiring knowledge, for acquiring habits, interests and ideals which conduce to the well-being of himself, his fellow and society as a whole. So if this purpose is to be realized, the school should be reconstructed on the lines of democratic society, in which membership implies the right of full and the free individual development and conscious pursuit of wisdom or common ends in the cooperative spirit. So each member contributing to the common goods in accordance with his special gifts. So disciplines give children a feeling of security by telling them what they may and may not do, by helping children to avoid frequent feelings of guilt and shame for misbehavior, feelings that inevitably lead to unhappiness and poor adjustment. Discipline always enables the students to live according to the standards that provided by the social group or to win this approval of social life. So through discipline, children learn to behave in such a way that they may lead to praise that they interpret as indications of love and acceptance, essentials to successful adjustment and happiness into their lives. So developmentally appropriate discipline serves as a ego bolstering motivation which encourages children to accomplish which is required of them. So discipline helps children to develop a conscious, internalized voice that guides them in making their own decisions and controlling their own behavior. At present, in discipline in our educational institutions, if we see, this is a very serious problem because it extends from the secondary schools to the university level. And in a society itself, we find several manifestations of the indiscipline, and it is wonder that these have serious repercussions on the educational institution as well. So there are some important causes of indisciplines in our government or private schools. So what are they? What are those? Like lack of leadership in teachers, Like today's teachers do not enjoy the same respect in society which they did in the past. And consequently, students also do not show due respect to their teachers. And teachers get involved in this pool of politics and self-interest and lose their ideals, and they do not show any interest in the development of the students. So very often these teachers excite the students and use them as a tool of private tuitions. The prestige of the teachers in society has gone down. So their miserable economic conditions add to this. So the teacher have lost originality in thinking. As a result, they are incapable of giving guidance to the students in the various situations of life. So it is no wonder to find indiscipline among the students. The second thing, which is the main factor, that the current education system. The current education system is mostly criticized every time. So the students has to begin feel that education which is being given to them, that is not good for them. So as a result, what they do, that no regard, they pay no regard for this education. So they consider it merely a mean of getting some employment. And the primary aim of present day educational system has become the securing of good division at annual examination, and the students do not desist from adopting any means to achieve these objectives. So this is also one of the cause of the indiscipline. Main reason or factor, you can say, that is lack of sustaining ideals in the schools. In present conditions, if we observe that condition of our society, that is pitiable. Many people, because of their self-interest, have started attaching great importance to the ends rather than to the means to achieve them. The social values are undergoing rapid changes, as such as the discipline err in fixing its moral standards. So this has shaken the very foundation of our society. Today the individual is not sure about the security of his life and property. So therefore, there is a lack of healthy ideal among the students. Hence, indiscipline is increasing among them. So the fourth factor, that is economic difficulties, means our economic conditions have deteriorated to the deplorable degree. And the population, we know that this is increasing day by day, and that's why the unemployment in our nation, this is a big problem. And the student always hunted by the fear of their future is dark. So they cannot chalk out their path of duty, and on occasions they behave in an undisciplined manner. So here we may conclude that responsibility for indiscipline doesn't rest only with the school, but also with the home, society, government. So its eradication, if we think for its eradication, so the cooperation of all the concerned is necessary. So on the basis of different causes, we may suggest different solutions to the problems as we discussed earlier. The first one is school discipline and guidance program. Means every adult who cares for children has a responsibility to guide, correct and socialize children toward appropriate behavior. So these adults' actions often are called child guidance and discipline. So positive guidance and discipline are crucial because they promote children's self-control, teach children responsibility, and help children make thoughtful choices. The more effective adult caregivers are at encouraging appropriate child behavior, the less time and effort adults will spend correcting children's misbehavior. Family specialists agree that using physical force, threats, and put downs can interfere with the child's health development. For example, there is evidence that spanking can have negative effects on children. Then school discipline in guidance program, we can say that effective guidance and discipline focus on the development of child. Remember that if there is no focus on the development of child, then we cannot give effective guidance to them. So they also preserve the child's self-esteem and dignity. Actions that insult or be little or likely to cause children to view their parents and other caregivers negatively, which can inhibit learning and can teach the child to be unkind to others. However, actions that acknowledge the child's efforts and progress, so no matter how slow or small, are likely to encourage healthy environment. And then we can say that there should be healthy development. So teaching children self-discipline is demanding task because it requires patience, thoughtful attentions, cooperations, and good understanding of the child. It also requires knowledge of one's own strength and struggles with disciplinary issues. Unfortunately, the only preparation for most parents and their own experience of being parented, so such past experiences may not always be helpful in raising today's children. Then proactive strategies. Proactive strategies means that you can observe that children misbehavior. This is impossible to prevent completely because usually children and endlessly creative are likely to do things parents and other caregivers have not expected. So, however, there are many positive steps teachers and educational institutions can take to help prevent misbehavior. Like set clear, consistent rules. Then you can say this is one of the proactive strategy. Then make certain the environment is safe and worry free. Then show interest in the child's activities. Provide appropriate and engaging playthings. Encourage self-control by providing meaningful choices. Focus on desired behavior rather than the one to be avoided. Build children's image of themselves as trustworthy, responsible, and cooperative. Expect the best from the child. Always remember that ask you to your students or children that we have a very positive intentions and expectations from you. So then the children get confidence and they try to, you can say, they avoid from misbehaving. Give clear directions. Always give clear directions to the students one at a time and say yes whenever it is possible for you. So notice and pay attention to children when they do things right. Take actions before the situation gets out of control, and always encourage children often and generously. Set a good examples. Always help children see how their actions affect others. So now there are some possible reasons children misbehave. What are the reasons when the children misbehave? Like if parents and teachers understand that why their children misbehave, so they can be more successful at reducing behavior problems. Listed here are some of the possible reasons that why children misbehave into their lives. First of all, they want to test whether caregivers will enforce rules, and they experience different set of expectations between school and home, and they do not understand the rules or are held to expectations they are beyond their developmental levels, and they want to assert themselves and their independence. They feel it bored, hungry, or sleepy. They lack accurate information and prior experience. They have been previously rewarded for their misbehavior with adult attention. They copy the actions of their parents. Remember that once if you do something in front of your children, so your children would copy your actions. Then there are some positive discipline techniques. Like true misbehavior occurs when a student chooses to behave inappropriately. So before you take action, ask yourselves some questions like, is the student really doing something wrong? Is there a real problem? Or are you just tired and out of patience? If there is no real problem, release your stress away from the child. And if there is problem, so go to the next question. Think for a moment. Is your student actually capable of doing what you expect? If you are not being realistic, re-evaluate your expectations. And if your expectations are fair, go to the next question. Did your students know at the time that he or she was doing something wrong? If your students did not realize something wrong, help her understanding what you expect, why and how she can do that. Offer to help. And if your student knew what he was doing was wrong and he intentionally disregarded reasonable expectations, your child misbehaved. So that you think that if the behavior was an accident, like wetting hair pins while sleeping, which is not a misbehavior. So if the behavior was not an accident, so ask your students to tell you the reasons she has for doing what she did. So if the child is old enough, ask her how she might solve the problem or correct the situations. By using a problem solving approach, children can develop skills in thinking through situations and development possible solutions. About the lectures, the points we have initially explained. So I hope that you will understand each and everything. And if you want to study in Urdu, so I have given the links given in descriptions. You can find out, and you can also find out the links of other lectures regarding different subjects. So you can find it in descriptions. And still, if you didn't subscribe my channel, so please subscribe it for the next updates or more updates about the more lectures. Thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.